Hey guys, what's up? I'm Just from Movie Baseball Blogs, along here with Richard, my co-partner in this, and we also got Tim from the Kash Kelly and AC Sports Report. Guys, what's going on?
Nothing really.
Yeah, not too much. Excited to talk some Dodgers.
So let's talk some Dodgers. Want to give a shout out to one of the Facebook fans out there, Sarah Graves, just to throw something out there. She's a huge Dodgers fan, so I guess Sarah, this is your team. I guess you also like the Reds, so let's talk about your Dodgers. 80 and 82 last season. They had a decent season, but not record-wise. 2 games under 500. Joe Torre ended his season saying he's gonna quit as the manager of the Dodgers. Don Mattingly is the new guy. With their new pitching, do you think with the new requirement, John Garland, do you think this team could do something this season at first place, guys?
I think they could potentially be in first place. Looking at their requirements, accusations, additions, whatever you want to say, I think looking at adding John Garland, he's a very nice pitcher. The ERA will go up some, not pitching in Petco. But adding Juan Uribe is huge. This guy can play so many positions. He's good in the locker room. And he has a fair amount of power, considering he came from San Francisco, which is the ultimate pitcher's park, or one of them. The home runs, he could potentially hit 30 this year. I mean, a lot of people don't realize he hit 24 home runs last year.
Richard, what you got, man?
Yeah, I really like John Garland. Like Tim said, the ERA will go up a little bit, but I also like Matt Greer from coming over from the Twins. He's a solid bullpen guy. I mean, with him, their rookie Kenley Jansen, Jonathan Broxton, and Hung-Chi Kuo. That's a stellar bullpen. I think they have first place potential. Will they finish in first? Probably not. I have them as second or third. Yeah, I like Juan Uribe. Big power bat. Yeah, I think the Dodgers overall had a pretty good offseason to try to improve their team with Don Mattingly as the new skipper.
Yeah, I mean, Juan Uribe, one of the top guys in the organization, was the top guy at the new requirement this season. I think they're going to finish the season maybe in third place. I still think that the Giants are going to be either in second or first, because the Rockies and the Giants are really compared this season because of Cargo. You also got Troy Tulo and a bunch of those other guys, but we'll get into those teams in the we'll get into the Giants later. We already did the Rockies, so talk about their pitching. It was announced that Chad Billingsley or Clayton Kershaw were named in the starting rotation. I don't know who it was, but who is the starting rotation and who's going to be the projected starter? Do you guys know by any chance?
Yeah, Clayton Kershaw is going to be the ace. Billingsley, I believe, he had a pretty good season last year, having a bounce-back season last year. But looking at Clayton Kershaw, 13 and 10 with a 2.19 or 91 ERA. This guy's only 23 or 24. He's the future of this team. He's their ace for probably the next 10 years, you'd think they would hope. So he'll be the ace.
What do you got, Richard?
Yeah, my predicted starting rotation will be Clayton Kershaw, followed by Chad Billingsley, then Ted Lilly, Hiroki Kuroda, and John Garland. I really like Clayton Kershaw, like Tim said, for the next 10 years. I mean, this kid, pretty impressive last year. I really like their rotation. They got some youth. They got some veteran guys. A good mix. I really like this rotation a lot.
I mean, the guy I'm really looking at is Kershaw, like you guys said, but the other pitcher that really got my eye is Hiroki Kuroda. He's projected to be their number 2 starter, but I would really put Chad Billingsley at number 2, but that's what we're going to talk about. At number 2, we got Hiroki Kuroda is what they're projected to go as. Hiroki Kuroda had a pretty decent season last year. I mean, he was 11 and 13 with a 3.39 ERA, 196 innings pitched. I mean, how well will this guy do next season, you guys?
Kershaw or Billingsley?
Hiroki Kuroda.
Oh, okay, my bad. Hiroki Kuroda, I don't think he's that great of a pitcher. 11 and 13 with a 3.39 ERA. He had a much better season last year than he had been having. For me, I could see this guy certainly winning around the same amount of games. I could see a 13-11 record, but I think ERA will go up some. Richard, how about you?
I think think this is going to be a bit of a down year for Kuroda. His spring has not been too impressive. He has an 0-2 record with almost a 6 ERA. That's not a good sign. You know, people might say, oh, spring stats don't count, but his past 2 seasons in the spring, he's had ERAs below 3, and last year's below 2. So, I mean, if that's any indication as to how he'll do this season, I don't think Kuroda will do that well. I don't like him being the second start. I like him being at number 4.
Me too.
I just don't think Kuroda will have that great of a season this year.
I think he's gonna have maybe a decent season, not good, but it's gonna be a decent season come out of Hiroki. Chad Billingsley is projected to be their number 3 starter, and this kid is just good. I mean, he's okay. He had the same record as he had in 09, 12-11. He lowered his ERA in 2010 that he did in 2009. He had a 3.37 ERA. In 09, he had a 4.03 ERA, and he had 109 innings pitched last season. How well will this kid do for the Dodgers this season?
I think he could have a very good season this year. I certainly think he is an important piece to the Dodgers' success.
Richard?
Yeah, Billingsley. You know, their former ace, former number 1 guy. I think that if he was if I was the GM of the Dodgers, I'd have him at number 2. I think him and Kershaw would be an amazing 1-2 punch. I think he's a potential 15-game winner. I really like him a lot.
Yeah, I agree, and I think he will actually end up being the number 2 starter for this team. The magazine I'm looking at has Kershaw 1, him 2, Ted Lilly 3, and so on.
So you guys pretty much say that he's going to have a great season. Do you think his ERA is going to get a little bit lower, maybe down in the 2s this season, or is that going to be too much?
That's probably a little too much. He could get down to like 3.30 though.
Do you think that his ERA is going to improve, Richard, or is it going to be decreased, or what's going to go on?
I don't think it'll go down into the 2s. I think a 3.3, 3.35 ERA is very doable for a guy like Billingsley. But yeah, going down to the 2 area, I don't see it happening.
Alright, next we have Ted Lilly. This guy was having some big troubles with the Cubs, and he had a split season at 10-12. I mean, he was really, really great with the Dodgers last season, and that just pretty much says that he's going to be having a good season maybe this year. I have him winning maybe about 12 games. I mean, that's pretty decent as out of Ted Lilly. Do you think he's a potential 15-game winner, you guys? Do you think he's going to win 15 this year?
Yeah, I think he will. He actually wasn't having that bad of a year last year in Chicago. The record looks bad, but the ERA was actually 3.69. Obviously, like you said, he came over to the Dodgers. He pitched really well at 7-9 with the 3.52, or not 7-9, 7-4 with the 3.52 ERA. I mean, this guy's getting older, but he's still a pretty solid pitcher. To have him at number 3 is a nice luxury. Richard, what do you think?
Ted Lilly, yeah, I like him a lot. I don't think 15 games is doable. I see 13 maybe in that range. Yeah, the ERA 3.69. I'll say it'll hover around the same. I think he's a pretty consistent pitcher. For the past 8 seasons, he's had double-digit wins, being on teams like the A's, Toronto, the Cubs, now the Dodgers. I think he'll maintain about a 13 and I'd say 13-10 with a 3.7 ERA, pretty close to last year.
All right, so that's your guys' prediction on Ted Lilly, and on to their final guy. This guy, he's a good stud on how on this team at number 5, John Garland. Vicente Padilla is, I think, going to be in the bullpen. He has an injury, so he's going to be out for about a month or so, is what I heard. Do you think with Vicente Padilla is going to be back, do you think that he's going to pitch in the bullpen, or do you think he's going to be back in the pitching rotation?
He'll be in the bullpen because John Garland's going to be in the rotation, and adding all these guys up is 5. So, yeah, he'll start in the bullpen. He's a really nice piece to have available if someone gets hurt. So you'll probably see him in the rotation at some point, but Garland should round out the rotation.
How many wins do you think he's going to get this year?
For Garland or Padilla?
Garland.
That's a good one.
He's
I
going
could
to
see. I'm not sure. 14 and 12 last year. I could see somewhere in that area, 13 or 14.
I have him winning maybe 16 games. I mean, that sounds pretty good because this guy can win like any amount. Like 14 the past, like in 08 he had 14 with the Angels, 11 games with the Dodgers in Arizona in 09, and then now in 10 he had 14 games. I think he's gonna win 14.
I think 16 seems a little high. Yeah, 14, 13, 12, somewhere in that range.
Yeah, that's what I meant. So, Richard, how many wins do you think he's gonna get?
Well, before we talk about him, I mean, John Garland. I mean, he's gonna start the season on the DL. He's scheduled to miss 2 to 3 starts. We might see Padilla, or maybe even Tim Redding, but I do like Garland a lot. He's getting older. I don't think he'll reach 14 wins due to health issues. I think he'll reach a solid 11 wins with this Dodgers club. He'll have about the same ERA. He's a pretty consistent guy. I actually remember, I think it was last year, in the middle of a Diamondbacks and Dodgers game, he actually got traded during the game and went over to the other clubhouse, which was pretty, you don't see that too often. But yeah, I think 11 or 12 wins out of Garland is pretty much the ceiling for him.
Yeah, I didn't realize he was out. Then yeah, even 9 or 10 seems more likely for me.
So that's your pitching. Let's go on to their hitting. Don Mattingly, Donnie Baseball. This guy is former first baseman of the Yankees. Do you think with his managerial skills, do you think this is going to be a top hitting team in the NL this year?
I'm not sure. I don't know how good of a hitting coach Don Mattingly really is. I know he's with the Yankees, but how much can you tell from being the hitting coach of the Yankees? You normally have a good lineup. Andre Ethier's a beast. There's no questions there. I was not impressed with how this team handled Matt Kemp this year. That he's going to have a bounce back year for this team to be successful. That left side of their infield is getting older, so I would tend to think that this team's hitting wise, they're a good team. For Casey Blake, there's some questions whether he'll be ready. So we'll have to see here. James Loney as well and Rod Barras are both questions. I think Loney, the thing that's kind of disappointed me with him is his lack of power.
So lack of power with Loney?
Yeah.
Some people are... Do you think Jay Gibbons is going to start in the outfield this season? I mean, he had a great second half with the Dodgers. I mean, I think he retired from baseball for about a couple months, and then the Dodgers, I guess, gave him a call because he was playing down in AAA Albuquerque, and he sat out for a little while until getting back into baseball. Do you think Jay Gibbons is going to be in the bench role, or do you think he's going to be playing in the outfield?
Yeah, actually, what happened? This guy was one of the names listed on the Mitchell report. You know, he was supposed to be this great player, and it just never kind of worked out for him. I think that the biggest deal here for me with him, he had a very good second half. I think this is more of a platoon type outfielder, though. I could see him more as I don't know. I could see this guy playing like 110, 20 games. He's not going to play 160 games out there in left field. But if they don't count on him too much, he's a nice piece.
Richard, what do you think about this hitting with the Dodgers?
I think the offense is pretty good. Like Tim said, they need a bounce back here from Matt Kemp. James Loney has to step up. I mean, this guy, he's a pretty big guy. He has no power, really, that he's shown. Adding Juan Uribe will help a lot. But in left field, Jay Gibbons, I think he'll be the starter. But you also got Marcus Thames, a huge power threat. You also have this young kid, Xavier Paul, who had a pretty exceptional spring. 2 home runs, 5 runs batted in with a 267 average. That's exceptional. I mean, I think this is going to be more of a platoon left field, but I think Jay Gibbons will get the starting nod with Marcus Thames playing some games just because of his bat.
Alright, so I guess you guys heard it from the hitting, pitching perspective. That's the Dodgers projected, what we have projected at. I haven't projected in third, guys. Where do you have him projected at?
Yeah, I have him in third, too. Probably improving to about 83, 84 wins. Somewhere in that area. I see them as a third-place team.
Yeah, I'll say third place as well.
Alright. So, there you go, guys. There's our little outlook on the Dodgers. Can they win first place? Can they get maybe the division? Can they get the wild card? We all have to wait for the season, which is coming up this Thursday. I'll talk to you guys later. Y'all have a great week, and I'll talk to you guys later.
Peace.